Welcome back. Now on page 89, it calls this using the Rangefinder. They use such big words for something that's not that big of a deal, and we've actually already talked about this. It's showing how it helps you find errors. So in the book, it actually has you click on H4. Now, the purpose of this, if I double click it, all right, we get back to our color coding. So if there's an error, it helps you find where the error might be. So this is the blue cell, the red cell, the purple cell. And it's called using the Rangefinder, which makes it sound like it's a big deal. And it is kind of cool, but it's not that big of a deal. Alright, so that is what you see on page 89. So go ahead and hit escape because you don't want to change anything. Alrighty, so yay, that was so very exciting. Now on page, we're going to change the workbook theme. On page 91, it tells you to change the workbook theme. Now I know that last semester this theme was not working. So we're going to try it, and if it doesn't work, then we will just substitute with things that are close. Okay, so I don't want you to stress out. No stressing here. So on page 91, number 1, change the workbook theme. So, and it works just like it does in Office when it works. Alright, so we're going to page layout. And everybody should write a note to Microsoft Office maybe and say, hey, fix this. Alright, so it says to display the page layout tab, and then it wants us to click on the themes button. Notice it's themes button, okay, not the colors, not the fonts, okay, the theme, the whole theme. And it wants you to see how it changes, and yay, that's awesome, but y'all already know that. And it wants us to choose basis. So I'm going to look through this, and I have basis, okay. Now I had somebody email me yesterday that said that they did not. So I guess it's going to depend on what you have. So if you do not have basis, use what it takes to get as close as possible. Alright? And for those of you who do not, I'm going to give you a little help here. Okay, so if you don't have basis, you want to change your colors. It's not really showing it very well. So it looks like you have this custom 1 and custom 2, and that's going to be a lot of work. So you can't really do that. And in the fonts, what are we using? It's not really showing that either. Let me see if this will help. In the fonts, if you have Corbel, headings, and body, and that's what you want to use for your fonts. Okay, so right now all of this stuff is on Corbel 11. Alright, so if you don't have the theme, make sure your fonts are all Corbel 11. Alright, I hope that helps. And remember, don't stress, just take it easy, and we will work with this, because in real life things go wrong, right? Okay, so now on page 92, it wants us to format the worksheet title. So you go to the Home tab, and we're going to merge our title over the entire table. And remember, when you're done, double check to make sure it is still merged over the whole table. If it's not, then you need to fix it. Okay? So A1 to J1, and we're going to click on Merge and Center. Alright? Now, then we want to merge and center A2 to J2. Remember, we can't do them all together. We talked about that last time. Merge and center. Okay? And now we want to click in A1, and we're going to change the cell style. So click here, and you want to use the title cell style. So we're going to click in there. So if you don't have our theme, your title is going to be Corbell 18. Alright, I hope this helps. Alright, and then for A2, it is also going to be the title, cell, style. So you can click on Format Painter one time. I love Format Painter. And then click here one time. And there you go. Alright, and so with A2 still selected, we want to decrease our font size so that it is one size smaller. So we're going to click on the down, see that, increase, decrease. I love these A's. I used to put them on here before Office put them on there because I use them so much. So hit decrease one time. So A2 should be Corbell 16. Alrighty. Now we're going to change the background color. So we're going to select A1 and A2, which obviously goes across the entire thing. And we want to choose, the color is going to be a lovely green. Alright, so you're going to click on your bucket. And if your theme is working, the theme color is going to be green, accent 1, lighter 60%, that's 80, that's 60. If your theme color is not working, then you can go to, click on the down arrow here. If you don't have any greens in your theme color, you can go to more colors and make a green that way. Alright? Okay. So sometimes you just got to work around it. Now with A1 and A2 still selected, okay, notice they are still selected. Number 3 tells us to choose our border, so we're going to click on the down arrow for our borders. And notice that you have several different choices, okay? And you want to choose thick box border. So it's going to make a large dark border around the whole thing. Now you can click anywhere to deselect it, and you can see it on the bottom and the right hand side. Now you don't need to do this, but I'm coming here so you can see it. Notice how you can see the border here now at the top. Okay? That's just so you can see. If you were to print it or do a print preview, you would see it better. Alright. Okay, so now you deselect somewhere. So on page 95 now, we want to select A3 to J3. So A3 to J3. And we are going to format those using heading 3. So go to our Styles Gallery and go to heading 3. Now notice heading 3 has Corbell 11, and it also has a green bottom border. So if you don't have this theme correctly, you can click on the down arrow by the borders. If you have it, you can change the line color here. You can also go to more borders and work with it from there too. Okay, so there you go. We also want to center these, so we're going to click on center right here. Alright, and the whole thing is centered. Yay. Now on A13 to J13, so go to row 13, A13 to J13. Now remember we did totals last time? Okay, so A13 to J13, we're going to apply the total cell style. So we click on the down arrow and come over here to the total. And notice with the total cell style, we have a single border above and a double border below. So once again, if you're having to do your own, you should have a total cell style, and all you have to do is go in and change your line colors. Okay? Alright, and then number 5 says bold arrange A14 to A16. So we're going to select A14 to A16. So just our titles, and we want to bold. And that was pretty easy, right? On page 96, now we're going to format everything that we've typed in. Okay, so it says to select the dates. So select J4 through J12. Remember, I told you not to worry about the fact that we had 2002 that was spread out. So what we want to do now, we want to choose an even smaller date. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can click on this box here and it expands out. That's my personal favorite. Okay, there is one other way. If you click on the down arrow here, you can click on more number formats. Both ways work. You get the same box both ways. But notice that we need to change this so that it only has the two-digit year instead of the four-digit year. So all you have to do is click on this. It shows you what it's going to look like. Alright, and then click on OK. And notice that they have all changed to two-digit years now. Awesome. Alright, so now it says to select B4 through B16. So we're going to click on B4 and go to B16. So we're going straight down, B4 through B16, and they want us to center that. Now let me tell you my rules about centering numbers. If they're the same amount of digits in the whole number and every number in the entire column, then yes, centering is great. It looks very nice, clean, and efficient. I like it. If, however, one of them has more digits than the others, then it does not look professional. Okay? Next one on page 97, select D4 through G4. So we're clicking on D4 and we're selecting all the way to G4. Now, we want to select numbers that are not connected to this one. So to do that, with those still selected, hold the control key to shift. Let's select these. Sorry, I was not holding the control key. Hold the control key down and now you're going to click on I4. Okay, now that is also selected. They're called, if you want the fancy word, non-contiguous cells. There, you can use that on somebody and they will be so very impressed. Alright, you also want to include your totals that are currency. So with your control key still down, hold down your left mouse button over E13 and click and drag to G13. Okay? With your control key still down, and notice I let go of my mouse button. Now I'm going to get over I13 and click one time, and now notice that all of my dollar signs at the beginning of the columns and at the bottom columns, all of our currency stuff is selected. Remember that accountants, if you've done any accounting work, anything that has currency, the beginning of the column and the totals all have the dollar sign on it. And in this case, we're using the accounting number format. Alright, so to do that, this dollar sign is the accounting number format, which is the fixed dollar sign. Remember we talked about that last time. Okay, so notice that when we did that, see how I got the pound signs here? So remember, there's nothing wrong. All you have to do is make your column a little bit wider, no big deal. And I'm going to slide in between my F and my G and double click. Alright, and now it's wide enough. And I have my dollar signs and my two-digit cents after. Alright, so now we're going to select all of the other numbers that have to deal with money. So we're going to select from D5 all the way down to G12. Okay, now we also have to do the same thing for the net pay column. So remember, non-contiguous cells. You sound like brilliant. Slide over the I5. Hold down your control key. click with your left mouse button, slide down. Okay, so now we have those two groups of numbers selected, and we're going to choose the comma style. So slide straight up and click on comma. Alright, notice that the comma style also gives you 2 decimal points only. So that's why I said you don't have to worry about typing in all those decimals. It's all good. Alright, hit save because we turned the page. And now we're going to select C4 through C16, and we're going to do the comma style here too. We could have done that with the other group, right? So select it white with the white plus sign and hit comma. And yay, that is just absolutely beautiful. Alright, next we want to select D14 through G16. So D14 through G16. Alright, D14 through G16. And I14 through I16. So remember our trick, the control key, slide over the I14, hold down the left mouse button and drag down. Okay, so now you have groups of cells that are not connected, but they're all selected. Okay, now this time they want us to go to our Format Cells dialog box. Remember I just showed you 2 ways to get it. I can show you another way. You can also right click. So if you're a right clicker, there you go. So whether you do this more box or the down arrow here and choose more formats, or right click and go to Format Cells, whatever works for you is great. And we want to go to the currency in the category. So click on currency. And notice that in the currency you have your choice. You can change the decimal places, you can change your symbol, you can even turn it off, and you can choose, do you want your negative numbers to be black or red, or in brackets of black, or brackets with red. So you have several different formats. So whoever you're working with, you can do whatever that particular accountant or boss, or if it's you, whatever you happen to like. So in this case we're going to choose the third one down, the black with the parenthesis around it that also signify that it's a negative number. And we're going to say OK. Alright, so it looks like none of these are negative numbers. Okay, but also notice how they're all right next to the number. So that tells you that those are floating dollar signs. Pretty cool, right? Alrighty then. So now we're going to do a percent style, and we're also going to force it to have only 2 decimal places. So for that, we are going to select H4 through H15, because remember we deleted this one, right? And we are going to click on the percent sign here. Yay. So the book wants us to have 2 decimal places there. So all we have to do is hit increase decimal. Alright, so that's the first one, and if you're not sure, and honestly I usually forget which one's which, all you have to do is slide over it and you get the box that says increase decimal. So we want to have 2 decimal places, so I'm going to hit this button 1 time, 2 times, and now we have our 2 decimal places and our percent sign. Pretty awesome. So click anywhere you want, and that is deselected, and then let's save. Alright, so the next thing is really cool. In real life it'll be the perfect way to show when things are changing and can warn you when something needs to be done. So, and also I want to warn you that sometimes I have people just click on the bucket and fill this stuff in, and then I count it wrong. And not only do I count it wrong, I get upset because it's like you're trying to trick me, and you know, yeah, that's not too good. So you need to make sure that you use conditional formatting, which is right here. It's not difficult. Conditional formatting just sounds difficult. It's really very cool. Okay, conditional formatting, and just follow the directions. It's a lot of fun, so just be calm. It's a lot of fun. So the first thing on page 100, It says to select the range C4 through C12. So I'm clicking in C4 and I'm going to drag down through C12. Okay? So we have selected that range. Now we want to come to our conditional formatting. Here's conditional formatting. Now remember, when you get to the work that you do for homework, I mean not this project where it's telling you what to do, but like for Sam and the labs and whatever else you've been assigned, remember conditional formatting. It's so easy. Alright, don't be tempted to just fill the box, because I will count it wrong and to get grumpy. Alright, so just saying. So we're going to click on the conditional formatting. Notice we have lots of choices, and there are, I'm going to show you a trick. See all these rules here? There is a lot of stuff that's already done for you. Okay, now the book has us doing it a long way, but it's good because you need to know how to do it. But I'm telling you, unless Sam specifically says to do it with new rule, most of the stuff you can do through here and just change it, or through here. Alright, some cool stuff. Icon sets, all right there, pretty cool. Alright, so in the book it has us going to a new rule, so that is what we will do. Click on new rule. Now with new rule we have several different choices, and this kind of gets confusing. That's why I say just use what they already have set up, but they do tell us specifically what to choose. And on number 2, page 100, the second bullet of number 2 says format only cells that contain. So we're going to click on the second choice, format cells, only cells that contain, and now you get to choose specifically what you want to format, and you can do anything. You can change the font, you can change the font color, you can change the fill and the background, you can do whatever you want. Alright, so make sure you do what the book tells you. If the book tells you to do a fill, which I think it does, then you need to do a fill. If the book tells you to change the font color, then you change the font color, because I will count it wrong if you don't do what the book says. Alright, so make sure that you follow the directions. Alright, so we want to choose our cell value is going to be format only our cells that have a specific cell value, and we want all the cells that are greater than something specific. And notice you have a lot of choices here, alright, but for this one we're choosing greater than. So out of this group of cells that we have selected, which ones are greater than a specific number, or you could even choose a range. You can give it a cell address, which I personally like cell addresses, but the book has us typing in a 70. So it's letting us know that anybody who has worked more than 70 hours. Now, can you think of why somebody would want to know that, right? People are going to want to know when they're getting close to overtime, right? 80 hours if you work 2 weeks, 40 hours a week, 80 hours. And if they're at 70, the boss is going to want to know, hey, they need to go home before they get overtime, right? Overtime's expensive. Alright, so then we want to make it something obvious so that it pops out when we open the spreadsheet. So we're going to click on the format. And notice that we can change the number format, the font color, font style, font size, effects, all kinds of stuff. The border around the specific box, and also the fill behind the color. So you need to pay attention. What is the book asking for? In this case, it's asking us to change the font first. So we click on the font, and it wants us to choose white background 1. So if we're choosing white background 1, that's just telling you that that you're going to fill the background of the cell with a color, because if it's white you can't see it. Now I have had bosses ask to be able to hide some specific stuff, and this is a great way to do it. Use conditional formatting and tell a format with a white background and then leave the background white also, then nobody can see the numbers. So that's kind of a cool deal. So that's not what we're doing here, just know it's there. White background 1, that is there for everybody. White background 1. So even if you don't have this theme, you probably white's there for you somewhere in this section, but if not, once again, more colors. Alright, and it's the one dead center. Alright, white background 1. Notice that we cannot see the text, but we are going to the fill tab. So click on the fill tab, and then we want to change it to this color here. So we're going to come slide down, and it doesn't pop out the names of the colors like it does on everything else. So just do as close as you can. This is the color that it asks for, kind of a, oh, I don't know, an orangish, brownish kind of color, something like that. So we're going to say OK. Now it shows us an example of what it's going to look like. If yours does not have this background and this white text, you did it wrong, and you just need to click on the format again and do it again. Alright, if it is correct, make sure cell value greater than 70 and the color and the white, and say OK. Alright, so there you go. Now it shows us which ones are over 70. Pretty cool. Now we apply the format to all of them. Alright, when I grade it, this is how I grade it. Alright, I come over here to your conditional formatting, and I go to manage rules. And if you did it right, it will have cell value greater than 70. It will have this formatting, and it will have applies C4 through C12 with the dollar signs, the absolute cell reference, which we will learn about next chapter. Alright, but the computer does it for you. Alright, so this is what I'm looking for. Now, just to help you out, if you have messed up, not that anybody would ever mess up, you can select a rule that is messed up and click on delete rule. You can also click on edit rule. So if you messed up, it's not that big of a deal. You can delete it or edit it, or you can start over. Alright, so I'm going to close that, but that's how I grade it. So I'm telling you now, if that's not there, then I know you just filled it with a bucket and it's wrong. Alright, not that anybody would ever do that, right? Okay, so now the next one, on page 104, we're going to hit save. Okay, on page 104, it talks about making our columns wide enough. Now, we've been doing it as we went along because it drives me crazy. Okay, the quickest way, if you have not been doing it as you go, you can click on this box in between the A and the 1. Remember, we talked about that last chapter. Select the whole thing, slide in between the A and the B, and double click, and it auto fits like that. And see, that even adjusted mine some. So there you go, auto fit. It is beautiful. Now, just so that you know, in case Sam asks you to make it a specific width, you can slide in between two columns. Hold down your left mouse button, and it tells you exactly what the width is. You can grab and drag it out, and notice it gets wider. Okay. You can also do that from here. See, I have, let's say I have column D selected, and if the book tells you to make it a specific width, I personally am not going to grade for that. All I'm going to grade is to make sure I can see everything. Sam might get picky. You can also come here to format and type in the column width or the row height in a specific number if you want. You can also come here in between the rows, and notice how I get the bar with the arrows. You can double click that also, and you can also click and drag that if you want. Alright, so whatever it takes to make it look good, I'm happy. Okay, I need to make sure I see everything, that everything is formatted correctly, that you used conditional formatting for this, and I'm good. I am not going to go through each column to make sure that you did exactly the right number. Who's got that kind of time? Alright? Okay, so we're going to save this, and we are on page 107 now, and we're going to take a break. See you in a second.